What's going on, guys? So hopefully you're going to enjoy this video. If you are into cordless power tools, this is definitely a topic I think most people think about whenever you're considering if you should switch brands. So let's talk about that. Get your most informed face on, because I'm going to be asking some serious questions that hopefully you can answer in the comment section. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so in front of me, you're looking at a very, very small sample of power tools that I have. I carry DeWalt tools, I have a few Makita tools, and then I have a handful of Milwaukee tools. I really don't have any other brands. I don't even know if I've purchased a Ryobi tool in the last 20 years. There's other brands I know that are out there, some new brands that Lowe's has started carrying. I've purchased a couple Bosch tools in the past, like their 12-volt line, the smaller compact line. Never went back to buying them again, not because I didn't like them from a construction perspective, but I didn't like the physical characteristics of the battery that fits into the grip, and it makes this giant grip, and it's just uncomfortable for me. I've always been a fan of the DeWalt grip, and that's one of the reasons why I think I go back to it. But the question in today's video is really going to be for those of you who support a certain brand of cordless tool. And I really want to know why. I'm looking for fanboys here. I really am. I'm looking for folks who are big Makita fans, folks who are big Milwaukee, DeWalt, Craftsman, Ryobi, whatever tool you support. And I want to find out why you support that specific brand. I mean, let me explain to you why I have so many DeWalt tools. And I purchased Makita because I don't even know why I ended up... Oh, I do know why. I bought the Makita drills because I was buying my wife the Makita vacuum cleaners that we've both done videos on, and those things are absolutely insane. We love the Makita vacuum cleaners, and they take this same 18-volt lithium-ion battery. So I figured, you know what, if I put a couple of the drills in the house where I don't have my DeWalt drills, well, they can share the same battery pack as the Makita vacuum cleaners that I get my wife. So I've purchased a handful of these over the years, and the most recent ones that I've purchased, I've actually been using outside, and I use these to dig my gopher mound holes. So when I put my gopher hawks in to catch gophers, this is what I use, and I don't even know how it ended up in my toolbox of gopher hunting gear, but it's essentially stuck. So I know that the Makita goes with the mowers when I go out to hunt gophers, and it's held up reasonably well. You know, the chuck on it feels definitely loose and wobbly after a while, but I'm using it with a 3-inch auger bit that's 30 inches long. So it's a lot of torque, and this thing gets thrown around quite a bit, as you can tell just by looking at it. And I have two of these. I have one that I bought for the other lawn tractor, so I didn't have to constantly move equipment from one to the other. But that's the reason why we ended up with Makita. Do I think that it's a quality product? I do. I'm actually pretty impressed that this is held up the way it's held up, considering how many gopher mounds it's had to dig into with an auger, and that's a lot of torque, especially for a drill. From an overall ergonomics perspective, it feels comfortable. It's definitely balanced properly. It doesn't feel cheap, even though this is one of their cheaper ones. The way you can typically tell a cheaper drill from a more expensive drill from a manufacturer is if it has a steel chuck versus a plastic chuck. And any of the big three, DeWalt, Makita, or Milwaukee, will have a plastic chuck on their cheaper drills and a steel chuck on their more expensive drills. On DeWalt, their higher-end version would be called the XR. So I have a ton of DeWalt tools. I have probably all of their XR tools. I have a lot of these new atomic tools as well, which I really like because they're a little bit more compact, which I really like whenever I'm carrying them around. They feel a little bit more balanced to me. They're not as bulky or heavy, but they work really well. I haven't had any major issues with any of them. But as I see other folks who use like Milwaukee, and they say Milwaukee's the best tool you could ever buy, or Rigid, they say that's the best tool you could ever buy. I doubt most people would say Craftsman or Skill or Ryobi are the best tools. Most people get them because they're good tools and they're affordable. So you can get a ton of them at a pretty good price compared to what a DeWalt drill or a DeWalt impact driver or saw or something might cost, or Makita or Milwaukee. But what I want to find out is if you stick with the same brand of tool for the same reason I do. And the reason why I buy so much DeWalt gear is not because I'm some big fan of DeWalt and I think it's the best drill or best product out there. I would actually argue to say that I'm not overly impressed with some of them, especially when I was using them for woodworking and I would be building cabinetry and shelves and chairs. The chucks to me were never perfectly straight. Basically, you would have a wobble to them. And I made a video, one of my very first videos, I actually demonstrated that I had 3 DeWalt drills across all of their lineups, from their 12 volt to their 20 volt to their 20 volt XR, even their hammer drill, their more expensive ones. And they all had a wobble to them where I think my Bosch and my Makita did not. And at the time, actually, it was a Bosch and a Milwaukee did not. And I would honestly tell you again, the only reason I stick with DeWalt is because the battery packs. I have so much invested in terms of batteries that for me to just switch to another brand and to buy all new batteries doesn't make sense. And I have so many tools now. So, you know, what you end up doing is, and I think a lot of people who even have Ryobi or who have other brands that they would like to possibly upgrade to a more, I guess, construction-focused brand, they don't do it because they've accumulated so many batteries over the years or so many tools over the years that to replace all of them in any type of a short time period just wouldn't financially make sense. If I wanted to end up going to all Makita tools from DeWalt, it would take me a lot of time and a lot of money to swap all my tools out to Makita. And that's just something I don't feel like doing. Now, I do have a mix match of tools, like probably most people do, but I feel as if I would not be a DeWalt customer if I didn't have so many of their batteries and their drills. I would probably have switched to like Milwaukee, only because I hear a lot of good things about Milwaukee. But do I truly think it's the better tool? Well, I watch a lot of those comparison videos where people, drill in these big lag bolts or they drill in these big construction screws into lumber, and they show how much quicker the Milwaukee drill is or the impact driver is versus DeWalt versus Makita versus any of these other brands. And I don't know if that's a true demonstration of how good the tool is or if that's just a demonstration of how fast the tool is. And what I mean by that is speed doesn't always equate to long-term reliability. And if you're spinning at a faster RPM, if you're pushing more torque out, the chances of you damaging the gearbox or burning up the drill, burning up the brushless motor, or burning it up in general, to me seems a little higher. And I don't know from a long-term reliability perspective if Milwaukee is a better product, or if it just looks really good on YouTube videos and shorts where everyone's showing how quickly it can drill in versus Makita, DeWalt, or anything else. I don't necessarily equate speed with long-term reliability or dependability, and that's the key here. So if you all have had a great experience with a certain type of power tool, let me know. I've had an okay experience with DeWalt. I don't believe I've had any of their 20-volt line of tools fail on me in any catastrophic way where they just don't work anymore. I have had several of their 12-volt lines, though, fail, and it mainly fails right here where you're switching directions and the trigger fails. Typically, this piece fails first where it just stops working, and when that fails, your trigger consequently fails at the same time because it doesn't allow you to squeeze the trigger back. And that's happened on several of their 12-volt line, but all their 12-volt line seems very consumer-driven to me. I know installation folks love them because they're compact, they're lightweight, and they tackle the jobs pretty well. But if you're doing any heavy work with them, I just don't see them holding up really well because they personally haven't held up well for me. Now, I can't compare that to Makita. I can't compare that to Milwaukee because I don't have a direct comparison. Again, I do have Milwaukee 12-volt tools, and they work pretty well, but I still don't really like the grip. I think DeWalt 12-volt drills have a much more comfortable grip to them because they put the battery on the bottom just like they do on their larger drills, whereas Makita and Milwaukee and Bosch all put the battery in the handle, and it makes the handle this super bulky handle, and it throws off the balance. And you can't just set it up like this unless you get one of these huge batteries that sticks off the bottom and has a platform to it. But again, what do you guys think? What's your favorite go-to brand of drill? I'd love to know. And why do you stick with it? Is it for the same reason I stick with mine? I don't think DeWalt's the best. It just happens to be the sheer number of DeWalt tools I have and the sheer number of DeWalt batteries I have. Makita, I don't know enough about long-term reliability of Makita to really say that this is the better product than DeWalt or Milwaukee. I know that Makita and DeWalt, from a performance perspective, seem to be closer to each other, and then for some reason Milwaukee just always is faster, a little stronger, and to a lot of people that might be ultimately what you're looking for. But is there anybody who's watching this video who's owned a ton of Milwaukee tools and they've switched to DeWalt or Makita? And why did you do that? I'd love to know. But again, I'd love to know your thoughts. Are you guys kind of in the same mindset that I'm in when it comes to power tools? And if you aren't, let me know. Or if you are, let me know. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I know I'm just pointing at a bunch of drills, but I think this is a question a lot of people ponder. So the more answers we get, I think the more clarity people will have in determining what their next cordless tool is going to be. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.